Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be. This is Mike, just another American. I was just looking at, I think his name is, well, I know his name is Brandon, but Straka or Strock. I don't want to pronounce it wrong, so I apologize if I did. But Brandon Strock or Strock or something like that was talking to people on the on the street. You know how they do those interviews and everything like that. It's a little rainy, so I apologize. I'm under this cover here in my little garage where I work on things. Um, thank God we ain't had rain in a while. But anyway, and it's just so amazing to me. I understand that, and we forget that we all have an individual crisis, problems, things we work on, things that we deal with, that we fight every day in our lives. But the problem that I heard, everybody's testimony was all about the reason I vote for this and the reason I vote this way is because of this person. I didn't like how that they didn't want us to be able to go into a bathroom, and transgenders didn't get to do this, or gay marriage, and it, I mean, it was, it was just all about those personal things. And I was thinking to myself, what in the world? I mean, has running the country, which is an economical disaster all the time. Let's face it, is every day is an emergency, because any wrong moves and, well, everything will be catastrophic. Come down to personal individual beliefs on whether you get to go into a bathroom. One guy said something about the military, and of course he gave a very good explanation of why, but it didn't come down to making sense, which it actually did. I mean, for example, to go into the military, you have to be healthy. Period. Healthy. If you're going to fly jets, you got to have 20/20 vision. You can't be diabetic. You can't have lung problems or heart problems. You can't have kidney problems. You can't have any of that. You got to be, I guess, with the lack of a better word, battle ready. If an emergency comes, attack, whatever, you got to be able to go to battle. And unfortunately, as much as battle and war and stuff like that makes casualties, the last thing we need is half of our military needing medical attention in the field before they even get the first shot fired. And this is a very, very compelling argument. I mean, come on. If everybody else, I mean, who is having a fit because they couldn't join the military because they have a kidney problem? Or who's having a fit because they can't join the military, like myself, at 49 years old? Who's having a problem because they can't see without glasses as thick as the bottom of a Coke bottle? They can't join the military. Who's having a problem about that? And what kind of complications would that cause? With having a military that is completely full of people that are not actually healthy people, that, well, we got 10,000 over here that need dialysis before they can go into battle. And we got 3,000 over here that's waiting on heart surgery. And we've got another 20,000 troops over here waiting on, they're on a list for kidney transplants, so, and this one, we got about 10 over here that needs livers. They got liver problems, and there's 40,000 over here with cancer. And, I mean, come on. You're in the military. Do you take that for a football team? Do you take that for a baseball team? No. The whole point of the military is to be able to fight, if you have to, for the security of the people and the country that you're fighting for. And now his problem was because they just did not have, which is true. I mean, we've lived in this world for however many thousands of years where there's always just been male and female, and it's that way in nature, and it's that way in human beings. And then all of a sudden, we're all just in uproars over just these little things, over these little minority things, and we're voting because of it. But what about the economy? What about somebody that's competent enough to understand how the economics works, who are able to build these relationships, these bridges between these other companies for trade? What about all these things, these companies and corporations that we need every day for people to have a job, to even be able to feed their family, and keeping those places full of the materials and things that they need so those people will have work to actually do? I mean, this is an ecosystem here. This is not just some little personal tantrum everybody gets to throw in the corner. It's just got ridiculous to me. You know, I was listening to these people's, and it had nothing to do with the economy, had nothing to do with corruption, had nothing to do with the deep state. People, weaponizing our law enforcement, making terrible laws that oppress us on an everyday level. You know, and I ain't talking about just cause somebody don't gets to jaywalk here. We're talking about serious things where the government can come in and just take your life away from you, just if they think you're a harm, if they just, whatever reason, nobody there to fact check them. And we've all seen corruption. I mean, let's face it, human beings, everybody's got corruption they're going to have to deal with in the real world. But we definitely try to keep it down to a minimum and everything. I mean, it's ridiculous. And who gets to play on the playgrounds? What it sounds like to me. Who gets to get on the jungle gyms? I did not like this teacher because she wouldn't let us play on the jungle gyms. She only let the boys play for 30 minutes first. And then we let the girls play on the jungle gyms for 30 minutes second. We should have been first. This is what it's come down to. This is what our politics has come down to. No wonder the left is, what is that? There's little raindrops. No wonder the left has come to this point where they're not actually dealing with any kind of policy or any kind of real things that affect multiple hundreds of millions of lives, not just in this country, 350 million and some change, but also the economy and the economics of other countries that we deal with and trade with. Now, we've already seen, this is not some big thing, we've already seen what this progressive leftist kind of thinking. And I'm not against progress. When you say progressive, I don't even understand what that means neither. Because when the guy asked him what does progressive mean to him, he couldn't really give a straight answer on it neither. It's like we got a whole country full of phrase words. You know, we got the new phrase word. Today's phrase word is progressive. And then if you're progressive, that means that you love all people, that all people can do whatever they have to and want to, and they can infiltrate your life and dictate to you on whatever they're feeling for the day. Just like myself, if I feel a certain way today, I can dictate to everybody around me on how I feel. And then they get to dictate on me how they feel. And then that person over there gets to dictate on her, which is dictating on me, and I'm dictating on him, how they feel today. So that we're not crossing anybody. Everybody is all happy. I'm sorry, somebody's going to pull in front of you in traffic. It's not the worst crime in the world. Somebody's going to speed. Somebody's going to ride without their seatbelt sometimes. We've got to the point, oh my God, it is just mind-blowing to me. Every answer these people. And of course, now granted, Brandon Straka is a gay Republican now, or conservative. I don't know which way he calls himself. I'm personally more libertarian, conservative kind of person, you know. Clint Eastwood gave a good example of what he called it, and I feel the same way. The more freedom we have, the better we're going to always be. That's just a fact. When we start getting the government to just all the time into every little business of every other person just because one or two other people over here have been offended in some way, we have just got off the whole role of what running a country is actually about. You're not electing people who care whether you like pink or green. I mean, this is how technical and how little sinister it's kind of got. If you don't like green, and this president candidate over here, he don't like green. Now, he ran in Congress for 30 years, and his district is hell on earth. The most poverty, the biggest drugs, the biggest crime, they have the biggest homelessness. All these things could be named, but he should be president, or she should be president. You see what I'm saying? Does anybody ever ask a real question about, like, why is your district? If you can't take care of one little district, how are you going to take care of a country? But nobody asked that. It's all about, well, were criminals treated fairly? Now, don't get me wrong. I think criminals need to be treated fairly. But we have seen in this country where it got to the point where the innocent was worried about being persecuted more than the criminal. Now, that's a fact. And we know it. And to blow that off and act like that ain't come from policy and come from what they call progressive thinking. Nobody actually knows what that really means, technically. I mean, you know, we get the phrase words. The phrase words are, it means that you are okay with gay people and you're alright with gay marriage and you're alright with transgenders and you're alright with it. I don't know that anybody's never not been all right with them to a point. What does it mean now that they have to push their things onto us? Because this is not about them personally. See, this is where the mess up is at. This is not about them personally. This is about our country. This is about them plus 350 million other people being able to live and feed their families and own a home, or at least have the opportunity to own a home. You know, this is not a simple, like, this person doesn't let, 10'4" people, join this whatever group, so I don't like him. Yeah, but he's got the strongest economy in any person ever. Across the board, not just for one people, but for all the people. They're all doing well. His district, his communities are all striving and growing. His school district is striving and growing. They got the highest SAT scores of anybody in the country. Yeah, but he don't let 10'4" people. If you're 10'4", you can't join this group or something. So I'm not gonna vote for you. See, this is what it's got to. That's where it's got to where this woman or man might be the best thing for your country, because they're not preoccupied with every little bitty thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock off these things as not serious things for people. We all have serious things that we have to deal with. Yours might be transgender, other person might be gay, another person might be a panic disorder, and those things can be crippling. I know, it runs in my family. I've dealt with it all my life. It's a crippling fact of mental health, and we have a lot of that in this country that is not even being dealt with. What do we talk about on the news? We talk about what black person got shot by what color other person, or what teacher is not actually doing her job, and how we cannot fire her, or expect people to do their job and be competent at it if they're hired into it. This is what we've got to. Not that it's actually overall. Do you know how hard it is? I couldn't even begin to tell you how hard it is. That's how hard it is to run a whole country, 350 million people, and you're connected to the rest of the world with trade, with military. The craziness goes on in the Middle East all the time, with all the agricultural problems that we have, not to mention growing, but we have severe weathers that happen. We've got hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. I mean, it will go on for days. I could not even get it done for days. I'd just be printing off and printing off and printing off and printing off things that it goes to run this country every day. The military, how to keep everybody from going to war, all these things. Military aid, to other countries that are being persecuted for whatever reason and everything. Sometimes even the help of those. I mean, it goes on for days. And it comes down to the simple fact of, I don't agree because this person don't think that we should have a marriage between genders, man and man, woman and woman. Well, that's what you're going to vote over? It doesn't matter that the kids are starving to death in the street. It doesn't matter that this politician right here is a warmonger. Doesn't matter if this one over here has got all the signs of corruption, not what the daggone media said about him and all this crap, but we got factual evidence, not this whistleblowing bull crap. We've got documents showing it. He's admitted it on camera. No, don't worry about that. No. He will let us go into the bathroom we want to go into. You know what? What difference does it make which bathroom you get to go into if you don't have a bathroom around left? If businesses are closing left and right? If our country is being overran by every other country, being taken advantage of, and the money that's coming out of your pocket, you don't get to have a bathroom anymore. Ask the people in Venezuela if it can't be true. People just think that we're in a time and date that, I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't matter. If you could pick your body up right now and set it at any time throughout history, from the beginning all the way to now, you would still be a person. You'd still be that same person standing in that portion of time. You'd be back in Egyptian times. You'd be back in Western times. You'll be back in the explorers where they was going all over the ocean and discovered America. You would still be the same person at that time. Human beings have not changed. They are always been the human beings. What changes is the way we deal with the human beings. What changes is how the policies and things that we put on human beings. We have seen it from the beginning of time, how that more prosperous countries were let to be prospered. How? Through economic relief, through less taxing, through more opportunities, better trade. All these things helped those people become better. Their country became better. In these other countries, they got more and more oppression and more stuff put on them to where the point to where they could not even breathe without somebody having to give them some kind of money for it, or give them some kind of the word's not coming to me, I apologize, but you know, some kind of credit or voucher for it. You know, this person's having hard to breathe. Click, click, here's a breather. You know, but we're taking so much of your money that it doesn't matter. We cannot even afford to fix the people anymore. The health system in the countries that are all, like, they talk about this health system like socialism, health system. What the heck? You're not getting to the point that the whole point of health system is to save lives and to help cure disease, to make people healthy. But if you're waiting in line for 6 years, 6 months, a year for your heart transplant, the majority of people end up dying. The only people they're actually helping is the minute health problems, the minuscule health problems. You got a cold, here, fine, we can see you get in there in an hour. But what about the millions of people that actually have real life-threatening health problems? They're the ones who are not getting seen, and they're the ones you're not hearing from. They're the ones they're not reporting on. There's plenty of people that's come from these other countries and told us, you know, this is how it really is. And what do? We blow them off. We blow them off like they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know. They done it the wrong way. It's been done 100 times. How many different ways is there? There's certain things you just got to come to grips with. And to sit and nitpick on who runs a whole country over whether you can go into a bathroom or whether they agree with whether transgender or not has nothing to do with you making money, which is a necessity every day, you having a job, you having the freedom to be transgender, gay, or whatever you are. Devil worshiper if you want to be. It's still freedom of religion. You want to worship the devil? Your stupidity, but your problem. Why would we not want to live in a country like that where instead of somebody coming in and saying, hey, you can't worship the devil, and if you do, we'll put you in prison? They say, well, that's exactly what we're fighting against. When? When has somebody been put in prison for a devil worshiping? When has somebody been put in prison for a Muslim? But they're pushing for Christianity right now. There's people all over the world been put in prison for Christianity. In China, there's people killed over in the Middle East. The Muslims will kill them in a heartbeat. I've watched it on one time on YouTube. They chopped their head off. Can you believe they let that on YouTube? Chopped the man's head off. And it took a while. You'd think it was quick, but they just used a regular knife and cut his head off. Guys, this is not about who gets to play more on the playground. This is when you have brought our country down to a point of whether you, and like I said, I'm not dismissing that to individual people. This is a problem for them. But this is a bigger problem if you don't have a strong country that you can actually voice that in. It's a bigger problem if you can't actually have the freedom to be who you want to be. It's a way bigger problem if you don't even have the economic freedom. Economic is a huge freedom. When you don't have money, that is a big deal. There's a lot of things come from that. A lot of things come from lack of money. Health problems, crime. You know, murder, deceit, you know, I mean, just families falling apart, children being grown up undereducated, undernourished, and actually parentalized. Comes from, so economics is a huge thing. And then you're going to hire somebody or elect somebody who they've already had their chance to show what they can do in a district through the Senate or through a government or through a mayor or even through a Congress. They've showed what they can do. It's like a trial, you know, here's your test. See how well you do. I had a guy actually, I was watching the guy actually say something about AOC. AOC. She only lost 300 and some $million and what was it, 40,000 jobs in one little district? Over what? Over ideology? Ideology is okay to certain points, but then there's a certain point where ideology actually trumps facts, and that's where ideology gets wrong. You can't trump facts, though, over ideology. I apologize it's got so long. Once again, Mike, a regular American's rant. But I just seen this, and I had to comment on it. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe we've got to this point, though. You know, leave a comment. Tell me what you think, and like the video. I'd love to get people where they actually are looking at this thing. Of course, there's millions of people on YouTube. I need your help if you agree, or if you disagree. It don't matter. Send it out there. Let somebody know. I'd like to hear their comments. God bless.